Right, in today's video, I'm going to help you understand why you're getting lower back pain, help you heal from it so you can get yourself back into the gym and training again. Now, I very much take the anti-fragile approach when it comes to lower back pain. I'm not someone who's going to sit around and just wait for it to get better. Myself, I've been training now for 10 years, powerlifting for 6 of those, and I've had disc bulges or a disc bulge, should I say, back in 2016, 2017. General facet joint pain, SIJ discomfort and pain, lower back tightness and niggles. It just inherently comes from, exercising and pushing your body, but also it can come from poor movement and just not moving enough. So the one question that isn't asked enough when it comes to getting lower back pain, niggles, injuries is, should I still be active? My answer is always yes. You just have to find how active you should be and where you sit. The absolute bare minimum, walking. Now, I understand people get lower back pain when they're walking, and that should tell you enough about your body, and you need to make some adjustments to it so that you don't, humans shouldn't get lower back pumps from walking around, right? So in your head, you go, right, I wonder what's wrong with that. I need to go and have a look and see why this is happening. For majority of you, which is going to be the common theme in this video, you live, walk, move, train in lumbar extension, which is essentially just, imagine you're sitting there and sticking your stomach out and you're just compressing that lower spine. Imagine that just all the time. And then you're walking around like that as well. So you got to think to yourself, okay, if I'm really compressed one side, I must be expanded the other side. A lot of what my training does and a lot of what that rehab industry does is we just compress one side and expand the other to give your body some relief and give it stability again. So should you still be active? My answer is always yes. The most common issues that I see that come with lower back pain, as I just mentioned this one before, people just moving and living in lumbar extension, but it can also come from not bracing correctly. I don't like the word having a weak brace, just bad terminology there, but they're not bracing correctly. They're living in too much external rotation. They're training incorrectly. But also they don't train their body really outside of an up and down pattern, something that I've learned. I've spent probably the last 18 months learning about postural restoration and getting their body to just move outside of just an up and down plane, like getting them rotating, getting them bending, and just, on your side, standing up. Your body shouldn't just be so rigid and stiff all the time, okay? Before I get into all the tips and tricks and everything, I really want you to understand the lens that I look through here, outside of the anti-fragile. And it's called the biopsychosocial lens. Starting with the biology, so the human body, I look at a couple of things. Your injury past, your current movement patterns and posture, your exposure to exercise, and your training history / life. How long have you been training for and what have you been doing? Looking through that, I can really get an understanding as to why this has happened. And then almost you get a better idea as well. If you look at, you can see exposure to exercise. If you haven't really exercised before and all you do is sit down most days, like you wake up, you drive to work, you sit down all day, you go home, you sit down for the rest of the evening, you don't really move your body and exercise, it's going to stiffen up. The same thing as exposure to exercise. If you do train, okay, well, how have you been training? What have you been doing? Show me your training plan for the last 3 to 6 months. Let me see what you've been doing, and then show me how you move. So show me how you squat, bench, and deadlift. What exercises kick this up? What exercises feel really good? What ones feel bad? Let's take a look at your body and how it moves. Let me just look at your overall posture. Stand there for a second. Okay, bend over. Do a bodyweight squat. Do a hip hinge. Looking at the body through that lens, first of all, really gives me an idea and a lot of the blueprint of what I need to essentially create a program and get the lifter out of feeling tight and stiff, first of all. And this works for a whole heap of people, by the way. I've got lifters who, guy I'm helping come back from a lower back injury from squatting 360 kilos. A cowboy who's just had so much shearing and compression force in his lower back from years of bull riding, he needs help there. I've got a lifter of my own who's got compression of her, I believe, L5S1, and she's got a posterior disc bulge from it, and we're helping her come back from that. And the first thing I look at is their training history, how they move, what do they do in their day to day. The next one is the psychological. So these are things like their coping skills and mechanisms when it comes to this lower back pain. Are you very much doom and gloom, and I'm just not going to do anything anymore? Or are you more proactive? And you go, okay, what is the solution to this? Can we find this out, right? Two very different coping mechanisms and skills. Their beliefs around lower back pain. So it's very hard to get someone to buy into a program if they believe that every time they go into the gym, they have to go balls to the wall, or they believe that weight training is going to hurt them even more. It's going to be almost impossible to get a lifter to do what I need them to do if they have those two beliefs. So you really got to understand, okay, what are my beliefs around training? We have to work together there. The other one is stress, that psychological stress that comes from having lower back pain or an injury. Will I be able to ever exercise again? Can I train at my full capacity again? Will I end up blowing my back out and causing surgery and the worst pain imaginable if I go back to training at the level that I have in the past and I want to, right? All those thought processes and those beliefs and those questions really cause a stress on the individual. It really comes down to how you deal with like your coping skills, your beliefs around what to do next and what's going to get you out of this position, and the stress that's associated with lower back pain. And then the final one is the social side of things. So how educated are you around what got you to this point here? What's going to get you out of here? Who are you being educated by? This is where the post that this originally came from was, I'm not a huge fan of doctors and physios getting people to stop exercising and moving altogether, or just going to bodyweight exercises. I like them to go to physios and doctors who have a training background and understand this lifestyle. Looking at, again, their network of people. For majority of people that lift in powerlifting, they understand that it comes with the territory, or just, lower back niggles come with the territory of exercising altogether. So who have you got around you talking in your ears? What are they saying? And then finally, the social support is really important to have, like a coach that, whilst I take the anti-fragile approach, I can empathize with them. Most of the time I've been in their position before, or that I'm well educated enough to go, okay, this is why this is happening, and kind of piece together that puzzle in their head that, they can't make out. So the stuff that you've really been looking for. I kind of break this down into 4 things. What you do at home, what you do for your warm-up, what you do when you now start training back at the gym, and then just some stretches that I really, really like that most people can benefit from if they're sitting really very much in that lumbar extension and compression of that lower spine, giving lower back, giving it relief. A lot of this stuff, when you get lower back injury, the foundation is built up from what you do at home, that consistency before you get into weight training and really change your posture. So I recommend doing this 5 to 7 times a week. Give you an example of myself at the moment. I'm training 4 days a week and I'm stretching somewhere between 5 and 6 days a week, finding it's helping with reducing my stiffness in my hips and lower back. It's reducing any niggles and lower back that I get from my training because I'm still lifting heavy and hard and with a high enough intensity. And I feel better in my day to day. That was one of the biggest reasons why I started looking outside of just weight training to fix my lower back, because it was affecting what was going on outside of my life. And I didn't want that anymore. Oh, sorry, outside of my training life. It was work. It was in my personal life as well. So a couple of things I really advise. I like the psoas marches as the bare minimum low base that you should start from. Banded exhales with a reach to really compress the front here and expand through the lower back, and especially through that lumbar. Low reach 99 breathing drills. Breathing is a fantastic way to move the rib cage around and create expansion in one area and compression in another, so you can start to feel the relief. And then some specific stretches, which I'm going to share with you at the end of this video. Really, that's the foundation. Now, your warm-ups before training. Really important. A lot of people just tend to walk into the gym and start to exercise nowadays, and you do want to add warm-ups in. It should be to get your heart rate up, get your body feeling a little bit more loose, a little bit more supple before you get into the gym, and then start to create movement patterns, low load movement patterns that replicate the exercises that you're going to be doing on that day. So if we start, I always like to carry over the banded exhales and the low reach 90-90 breathing just as a start. Heel elevated cable Zercher squats. I like to do those with a tempo though. A lot of deep hip flexion, expansion through that upper back and lower back, just really pushing that rib cage through, gives gets people moving into ranges that they're not used to. Staggered stance RDLs with a tempo, just an absolute golden exercise that people don't use enough. And then ISO holds. So this can be things like adductor holds, side planking, anything that's isometrically like a plank that you can do before you start to exercise. And again, you just find out where you need to start at and build up from there. The next thing is the training side of things. So the road to longevity, I like to call this. The exercising at home is the foundation of which it's all built on. Go wide so you can go tall. Things that I advise, I'm not necessarily going to give you too many exercises to do here. I'm just going to give you methods that you should implement inside of your training. So tempo exercises are fantastic for you to get that bodily awareness. Mixture of machine and free weights. Anterior loaded exercises encourage internal rotation. So holding anything on that anterior is a great job with that. Breathing drills are fantastic for that as well. So people who are stuck in a lot of external rotation and they're like expanded this way, we want to create internal rotation. That'll really help reduce that lower back compression that you're getting. And then single leg work and isometric holds. Finally, we're just going to do some post stretching. Now, this is to increase joint and muscle range of motion. So I'll give you a good example here. People like powerlifters, we tend to only squat just below parallel. So we're missing a lot of like deep squatting and through our hips and muscles. And stretches that will put our hips through more range of motion in our muscles, a really good choice to do at the back end of our training or at home. 3 exercises that I really like, and I do 5 to 6 days a week. These are like the ones I always like to give people, especially if they've really compressed in that lower back, is the pike stretch. Love that exercise. You can do it anywhere, right? And it's really easy for you to progress and regress this exercise from adding a box. And then you have a goal, which should be to get your hands flat on the floor with your, legs nice and straight behind you. The 90-90 stretch, this encourages internal rotation of the hips. Again, someone like myself who's quite externally rotated through the hips and the femurs. This exercise feels fantastic, freeing up my lower back and hips after doing it. And then the floor side stretch is what what I know it's called. And that's really just to stretch out the side of your body there. But as always, guys, if you found this video helpful, a couple of things you can do to help me out. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you feel like you've learned something new, please comment below. That really helps. Or a question that I haven't answered, comment that below so I can then give you some more information on that. But until next time, continue to be active so you can get yourself back into the gym and continue to get stronger, bigger, and more mobile.